Hello, dear learners. We start afresh. This is our fourth lecture on methodology 2 in language teaching. Methodology 1 in language teaching. So far, we have finished with lesson planning, the visual aids, and the skills, the teaching of the skills, the 4 skills, and how to teach grammatical structures, and how to handle vocabulary items. With lesson planning, we have said there is no criteria for one suitable lesson planning to follow. There are so many formats for lesson planning. But it is very important. You should enter your class with the lesson plan. You shouldn't enter the class without your lesson plan, because it adjusts the time and checks the progress of your learners. As for the visual aids, we said that they are very necessary because they illustrate and clarify the meaning of the structure of the language being taught or the vocabulary. So visual aids are very important, and we have talked a lot about the visual aids. The 4 skills, yes, by name: speaking, reading, writing, and listening. We have shown how they are taught and how they are handled, and how they are practiced. As for grammatical structure, we said you have to write it in clear colored chalk, and you pre-teach the difficult vocabulary item within the context of the grammatical structure, and then you come and teach the meaning of the grammatical structure first, and then try to emphasize it until it sticks in the learner's minds. Vocabulary items also should be pre-taught before the reading comprehension. First, you write the shape of the word, say its sound, and then explain its meaning. This is the steps and procedures for teaching vocabulary item. So we start afresh today to tackle a new topic, which is correction of errors. Correction of errors and mistakes. What are errors and mistakes? Errors are faulty words and structures done by the learners because they neglect the rules of these grammatical structures and these vocabulary items. So these are errors. They completely neglect the rules. They don't know which is right, which is wrong. As for mistakes, mistakes actually due to lapses, slips. If it is spoken, slips of tongue. If it is written, then it is a faulty form of a word or a grammatical structure due to, well, the learner, it just happened accidentally. If the learner goes over his work again and again, he could correct his mistakes. But errors are deeply rooted in their minds. They can't correct them. This is the difference between errors and mistakes. Yes, what are the teacher's attitudes toward errors? The teachers should view errors as part of the learning process. This is very important. It is a very important point of view, is that the teacher should consider an error as part of the learning process. It is the first step of learning. It is like riding a bicycle. Unless you fall from your bicycle so many times, you cannot learn it. So it is a step. The teacher should watch it carefully. There are some basic principles concerning errors and mistakes. Willis, this is a writer, in his book 1981, states that correction of mistakes should be kept to a minimum, or your students will lose confidence and give up. See, this is structure, this expression set by Willis. Correction of mistakes should be kept to a minimum, or your students will lose confidence and give up. This is very important statement stated by this linguist. So correction of errors should be kept to the minimum. You shouldn't maximize the correction of errors. You shouldn't correct every now and then. Then the learners will lose confidence. And if they lose confidence, they give up. If a student is encouraged by his success, this is contrary to the correction of errors. If a student is encouraged by his success, then he will exceed in making more success. So we should encourage our students. We should award them. We say, well done. That's very good. Excellent. That's right. So this is a way of encouraging students to make more success. And they will be confident and will try the language, even the spoken skills, and then comes the communicative purpose of the language. He will try again and again, more practice, and then the mistakes will gradually disappear. Then the student will try again and again and gain more practice, and his mistakes will gradually disappear. So we should leave mistakes and errors. Well, particularly if the purpose of the class is accuracy or is fluency. If the purpose of our class is fluency, let them uncorrected, and then the mistakes will disappear gradually, automatically. Generally, the teacher should care for this point, the following points. These following points the teacher should generally care for. First, provide immediate feedback. You should give the learners feedback as soon as possible so they can avoid making mistakes. Second, encourage pupil self-assessment and peer evaluation. The teacher should encourage his pupil to correct themselves. Self-correction and self-assessment and peer evaluation is very important for the pupils. Third, use different styles of correction, and not only only major errors should be corrected. Here the teacher is asked to use different styles of corrections, not to follow one way of correcting. If he says wrong, this harshing way of wrong should hinder most of the class to participate and to take part in his classes and activities. So the teacher should vary his styles of correction in his classroom, and only major errors should be corrected. Errors that makes it difficult for the coming classes should be corrected, and not every error should be corrected. The teacher, of course, could neglect some errors to encourage his pupils and to give him confidence, as we said before. So not every error should to be corrected, only major ones that make the language a mess for them in the coming classes. Fourth, attempt to promote and maintain motivation. This is very essential for the teacher. The teacher should attempt to promote, to make high standard and maintain motivation. And motivation is the backbone of the learning process. If the learners are motivated, then they can do everything correctly, and they will want to do a job, an activity. So this is the purpose of motivation. If you motivate your learners, they try to participate in classes. How to motivate our students? We should give them songs, poems, a game, flashcards to be read very quickly. These are all means of giving motivations. Fifth, the teacher should attempt to place his student in the center of the learning process. And this is actually modern learning. It should be pupil-centered. It should be pupil-centered. The pupils should be in the center of the learning process. They should do all the activities themselves and not the teacher. We aim to make all our classes pupil-centered and not teacher-centered. If the teacher is in the center of every activity, then the learners could be just listeners, practice the skill of listening, and they might not be attentively listening to the teacher, then they can lose the 4 skills. So the teacher should leave his class in a center position or learning process. This is very important. Sixth, accept pupils' actual responses. This is very educational point. The teacher should award his classes. He should accept the answers. If one student answers a question and it is not on the spot, it is not the right answer, you should say, good, but I need another answer, another best answer. This is good. I accept it. Well, it's okay, but it is not the good answer. You accept it in a way or another. You shouldn't say wrong. Do it again. Well, these are harshing expressions should hinder the learner's way of learning. You should accept their answers in a way or another. 7, let your classes or your students experiment, take risks and struggle with the language, because genuine, meaningful and encouraging comments will help in the learning. So let them experiment. If we say here correcting errors, there is one method, by the way, or one school of learning says, well, depends on or believes in learning by trial and error. So trial and error, this is one way of learning. Let them make mistakes, make errors, and then they correct themselves, struggle, and then they can learn the language genuinely and meaningfully. Well, some linguists said there is an apparatus within the head. This corrects the languages automatically. If you try to express yourself with the language, you don't hesitate. You use any expressions that comes to your mind, on the top of your mind. Then this apparatus corrects the language automatically. So let them take the risk of making experiment with learning the language and struggle in learning the language. This is very important, of course. Well, remember that communication is the primary and end product. The primary end product. Remember this. Always the teacher should bring this in his mind. Communication. What is the purpose of language? Is to communicate with others, whether written or spoken. So communication is the primary end product. It is very essential. It is very important. This is a very important product, the output of the language. Ninth, make sure that his pupils have understood his instructions before they start doing any activity. Again, this is a very important point. Make sure that you are clear and make your students do their activities in a clear way. So if the teacher instructions are not clear, then of course and actually and absolutely the learners will not give clear output or clear languages. So make sure that the pupils have understood the instructions, your instructions, before they start doing an activity. Let them listen, pay attention. I want you to do so and so, or I want you to write another grammatical structure similar to this example sentence. Then the structure in this way or instruction could be clear, and then the learner should follow your way. Last, or the point number 10, give short, direct, and crystal clear instructions delivered at normal speed to avoid confusion. Also, this point is regularity point. It regulates your classes, organize your work, gives them short, direct, and crystal clear instruction. Why short and direct? Because longer instructions might not be memorable. They can forget them, or at least they can forget part of them. And again, crystal clear, it should be white. crystal clear like ice, you see, no dirt in it. So the instruction could be like that, clear, not to be dim, not to be opaque for the learners. Yes, instruction delivered at normal speed. Also try to talk at normal speed. Don't talk very speedy, or don't talk too reluctantly. So it could be something in between, 50-50. Instructions delivered at normal speed to avoid confusion. All this to avoid confusion, not to make, just to confuse and be confused, to confuse the learners. Okay, this is one issue. I hope that you understand it and it's clear to you. There are corrections. I could sum it up. The teacher shouldn't interfere and correct every work. You should correct only necessary mistakes and errors that done by the learners, and see the purpose of your class, whether it is fluency or accuracy. If it is fluency, let them try with their, or struggle with their mistakes and errors. If it is accuracy, try to correct, but correct in a polite way, acceptable way. Try, even if the answer is not correct, just be silent and say, yes, I need another good answer. So this is about correction of errors. Another point, another topic is the course book supplementation. This is the issue number 2 in this session. Course book supplementation. What do you mean by supplementation? Supplementation simply means adding more of the same or more of something different. You add something to the textbook. So we could make a difference here between syllabus and curriculum. A curriculum is a wide container, include the syllabus within itself. The syllabus usually lies in the book that is to be taught for a certain subject. For example, spine 3. Spine 3, this is a syllabus, but the activities, all activities done inside the classroom or even within the school area is considered as a curriculum. So a curriculum is a wide container, while a syllabus is something limited for the learners to follow. So the teacher, of course, is an expert concerning the syllabus and curriculum. He knows the curriculum and he knows the syllabus. So the teacher should know when to supplement, when to add to the syllabus, and to which lessons in the syllabus, within the syllabus, and where particularly at what pages he should suppose add more of the same within the book or something totally different. What an example. Within my experience in Baktaruda, we used to supplement our books with reading cards and flashcards. First we start in class 1 with flashcards. These are strips of papers written in them simple structures for the purpose of recyclicity and rehearsing, and you flash it very quickly inside your classroom, and then the learners try to participate and read and check their speed reading within these flashcards. Then we go a step further, we make reading cards. Reading cards are short passages started by a well-connected paragraph, and then comes to 2 paragraphs and 3 connected paragraphs until they come to a fully connected topic. And we used to cover them nicely and put them in shelves, and then the learners come and take their reading cards and read, and by the end of reading every reading card they should make a summary for the story that they have read. This is one way of supplementing the syllabus. But the teacher should act here as a well expert to know where to add, where to omit, where to revise. These are things left for the teacher. Why is it necessary? Why is supplementing a book or a course book is necessary. It is of course necessary, simply for this reason, the coming reasons. One, or first, learners learn differently. Of course, the class is a collection of homogeneous students of different capabilities and abilities, and they learn differently, of course. They like this topic, others they don't like this topic. This pupil like a kind and color of a sort of literature, another doesn't like it. So they learn differently, and their attitude towards language is again also different. Two, teachers' book always call for teachers to be real masters and sincere facilitators of learning. So the teachers' books always call for teachers to be real masters. Real master, yes, to choose and diagnose the problem within his syllabus, where to add, where is the difficult areas to overcome, where is the easy areas to enhance. So the real teacher should enhance and be a real teacher and sense of facilitator. He facilitates the learning for the learners. He shouldn't spoon feed his learners, give them with a spoon and then they take in and digest the subject. He should facilitate. You choose, pick and choose different topics to meet their different cultures, to meet the different tastes. This is what is meant by making teachers' book to be a guide for teachers to be facilitators and to be real sensor masters. Three, or third, to provide variety, to provide different kind of topics, and flexibility. Flexibility, some topics are not equal in their difficulty. Some topics are easy, some topics are difficult. So the flexibility in context on topics could make it easy for the learners, each one to pick and choose what suits his situation, and also appropriate timing. Of course, reading text or supplementing text are not equal in length. Some are long, some are short, so they pick and choose what suits them. And also there are interesting activities done in this reading text. Then the learners should pick what interests them. What might interest Tom might not interest Ali. So they have different tastes. Each one can pick up what he wants. Also the teaching aids. The teaching aids, if the topic is accompanied or illustrated by some figures, then some students will like it to take the topic which is illustrated by pictures. As the Chinese proverb says, a picture worth 1,000 words. So some topics could be clarified by pictures. It could be suitable for some learners and not all learners. And additional authentic material for the warm-up. This supplementary material could be authentic, real, additional material for the learners. Some topics or some syllabuses are very classic, out of date, so they need the learners to make renewal by using authentic material. Until we meet in a next lecture, thank you very much. I hope this is clear for you and it is understood. Thank you very much.